Okay guys, here we go. I did kind of a makeshift little setup here so we could go ahead and do a quick little review on the... I decided to do this right now. I know I just came back inside. I told you guys I got kind of chased in by a storm and a little bit of stormy weather, but that's okay. I was able to get some shots tonight. I was also able to go ahead and safely break down the telescope, bring it in, the computer systems, everything, and right now it is currently raining. That storm system that is actually heading to the west of me was actually, it backtracked on us. It actually started to come back on us and went ahead and slammed right back into Buckeyes. So thank God I was paying attention to the weather and I was able to see that coming. So anyway, let's get into it real quick. So this right here is the Orion starblast 4.5 inch imaging OTA. This is a reflector, a Newtonian reflector design. Okay. The focal ratio on this telescope is 4.0, which is really cool. It's like 750 millimeter. That's a really good thing if you are looking to go ahead and have an optical system that is capable of taking very fast photos. Whereas opposed to the Schmidt-Cassegrain, the Meade LX90 that you can see behind the starblast here, this is a focal 10 with an 8, and it's an 8-inch design. It's a Schmidt-Cassegrain. It actually takes a little bit longer for photos to be taken with this because of how long that focal ratio is. It just takes longer for the photons to do their trick in order for it to make an image. Plus, this has a much narrower, the LX90 has a much narrower field of view, whereas opposed to the starblast 4.5, being a focal 4, it's a very wide wide field of view, so you get a real big, wide chunk of the sky for imaging. So it's a little bit more forgiving with guiding errors and PEC errors and stuff like that, whereas opposed to an LX90, you got to be pretty much dead on, otherwise your stars going to drift all over your field of view and all over the CCD imager. So, but that's for another day. We're not going to talk about that, guys. So we're talking about this little OTA right here. I'm going to read you guys some specs on it. Just a little bit of information on the Orion. Okay, according to Orion's website, best for viewing brighter deep sky. Okay. With it being a focal 4, with this being a focal 4 OTA, it's not really suited very much for planetary viewing because it's a focal 4.0. You get a lot of, I mean, I've obviously looked at Jupiter and Saturn with it. It's very hard to see anything with it though because this is designed exclusively for deep sky wide views. Whereas opposed to the LX90 over here, this is more suited towards planetary, being a focal 10. Okay, so you're talking focal 4 versus a focal 10. Okay, so best for brighter deep sky. Okay, best for imaging deep sky, star clusters, stars, nebula. This is what this guy does. And in fact, if you go to my channel under Skokakis 762 by 54R, you will see various photos that I have taken with the Orion Starblast 4.5 reflector. And honestly, the images coming out of this reflector rival the Meade sitting here right behind it. And you know, considering the fact that the Meade is an 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain, most people would think that this telescope would smoke this, would just blow this little Orion out of the water. Not true. This guy actually, with a faster focal ratio, takes images and processes images a lot better and a lot faster than I can with that LX90, which means my night is not spent all night behind the LX90. I can cut my night in half by using the 4.5 imaging reflector from Orion. So it's also it's one of the reasons I bought this telescope. According to Orion's website, the user level is intermediate. Makes sense. I mean, you know, I look at it more as an advanced level, but you know, whatever, that works for us. Optical design is obviously a reflector. Our optical diameter, the main diameter of the primary mirror in the back, is 114 millimeters. Okay, so you're working out to probably, let me think here. So we got 114 millimeters. We do a little calculation here. We're gonna see 114.0 divided by 24.5. So if we put that in inches, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at 4.65 inches of aperture in the back of this reflector. Okay, that's not too bad. Basically what I have right here is like a 5-inch refractor. Okay, not too bad at all, especially for the price. I paid $149.99 with free shipping for this little OTA. And Orion also sent me a nice little, I don't know, Orion does this, Orion Telescopes. Usually when you buy an OTA or a binocular observing set, they usually throw in a free copy of the Starry Night PC software and Mac software. Okay, it's basically a digital planetarium. Gives you all kinds of information on the sky, gives you all kinds of information about your location, and I personally used it on the laptops and my PC here in the room for targeting information, what's coming up for that particular night of viewing. It gives me longitude, latitude coordinates, so I know where I'm going to be anywhere in the state. Okay, so I can easily plug that into the computer systems and get everything tracking appropriately. So they always send out that Starry Night software, which is really cool. Now, it's the entry-level Starry Night software. It's not like the Starry Night Deluxe. If you want the Starry Night Deluxe software, you're going to be spending at least $199 to $200 on that. And you can go to starrynight.com. They have it over there as well. So the focal length. So we got the optical diameter 114, and I'm sorry, I made a miscalculation here. I kind of gave you some wrong information here. I said the focal ratio was 750. I'm incorrect, and I apologize about that. The focal length on this is actually 450 millimeters. Okay, that's why it's a focal 4. Okay, so 450 millimeter focal length with a focal ratio of focal 4 on this reflector. The optics type is a parabolic. Now, parabolic mirrors are actually pretty cool. There's not a lot of variations or any kind of optical deficiencies in this design with the parabolic glass and the mirrors, the way they're designed. So it's pretty much standard by today's telescope making standards. Parabolic is pretty much used in every reflector design you're going to find. Okay, unless of course you got like some $50,000 to $100,000 custom made one. Let's see. So you got optic parabolic. The glass material is soda lime plate. Now there's two types. Actually, I take that back. There's several types of glass that telescope manufacturers are employing to go ahead and make their secondary and primary mirrors for Newtonian reflectors or imaging reflectors. The most common entry-level glass you are going to find will be what is called the soda lime plate glass. Soda lime plate. Now, soda lime plate glass, there's nothing really wrong with it. It does the job. It does it very well. And the only difference is if you use like for example, Mead will use Pyrex glass, or they'll use BK7 glass or BK5 glass or something along that nature. All that basically means is Pyrex and BK7 and BK5 glass is more thermally stable, which means when a telescope is cooling down with the optics in the back, you don't have a lot of variation with the images. That's all that pretty much means. I hope I understand. It's a real big subject. It's a real technical subject to try to explain in a video. So if you guys and gals think I missed something, by all means go ahead and comment, and I'll be more than happy to go ahead and correct that information. So the soda lime plate, in a nutshell, I'll put this in layman's terms. Soda and the lime plate glass is basically entry to intermediate level glass in Newtonian reflectors. BK7, BK5, Pyrex glass, and stuff like that, you're going to find in higher-end telescopes, higher-end and more pricey Newtonian reflectors and imaging reflectors. Okay, so that's it does a good job. It's a little lower grade of a glass versus the big stuff. Okay, so in other words, the soda lime plate is like the Model T Ford, and the BK7, BK5, and Pyrex glasses that Mead and everybody else is using, Celestron and stuff like that, on the higher end models is like the Cadillac of mirrors. Okay, so that's the best way I can describe it for you. Put it in layman's terms. Let's see, resolving power is 1.02 arc seconds, which is actually pretty respectable for a little 4.5 OTA. With that fast of a focal ratio, that's not too bad at all. I'm very happy with that. Lowest useful magnification is 16x. Okay, our highest useful magnification on this optical system right here is 228x. Okay, not too bad. The highest theoretical magnification is 228. So if you get above 200x on this thing with your magnification, you're really pushing the limit, because it is a 4.65 inch mirror, and you're really pushing the limits when you get that close. The limiting stellar magnitude, or LSM, is 12.9. Now, 12.9 is basically, let me put this in terms for you. The Mead LX90, right back over here with this dew shield on, okay, the limiting stellar magnitude of the 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain is 14.0, okay? So this guy's 12.9. That's not too bad. All that's basically telling you is what is the faintest star that you will be able to visually see in the eyepiece with the optical system on the size of the aperture. So an 8-inch mirror, 203 millimeter, is going to yield a 14.0, and depending on seeing conditions, it can go up to 14.3. Depends how steady and clear your atmosphere is. Okay, so I can go as high as 14.3 on this mirror, on this LX90. This one right here, we're looking at 12.9. If I was up north of this telescope on a perfect seeing night where the atmosphere is steady and the air is clear and it's just perfect conditions, I could probably get 13.1 or 13.2 out of this optical tube. But the most common stellar magnitude you're going to find is at 12.9. The optical quality of the Orion 4.5, diffraction limited. That basically just means there's not going to be any kind of variations that you're going to see in the optical system are not caused by the optical system. That is going to be your seeing, your eyepiece, or whatnot. Okay, diffraction limited basically means it's a standard where all the mirrors and lenses and everything are basically made to the same standard now, and they're ground properly, they're polished properly, they're overcoated properly, and you don't have to worry about any kind of variations in your optics. So that's what diffraction limited means. You're not going to find any problems, any fault with the optics unless you drop it, you know, and purposely break something on it. Okay. This particular model did not come with a finder scope because it was a plain Jane optical tube assembly. I actually went to Orion. I ordered a bracket, and I ordered Orion's correct image. I believe it's an 8x50 or 9x50. Let me make sure. I want to make sure I give you guys the right information here. It's actually right over here. Hang on a second. This is a 9x50. 9x50 finder scope. It's a standard regular crosshair scope, but it works very, very well, and it really gives me the power I need to identify my targets for imaging and whatnot with this OTA. Okay, so this is what this guy is right here. It's a little 9x50. Now, when you get this telescope, it doesn't come with a bracket, and it doesn't come with the bracket. It doesn't come with the bracket holder, the fastener. It doesn't come with the bracket itself. I mean, I bought all this all from Orion for like 79 bucks when I got the tube. Okay. Let's see here, the focuser. Now this is what I'm really going to take a couple minutes to touch on here. The focuser is a 1.25 inch. So this telescope with its stock focuser does not have the ability to handle a 2-inch eyepiece, so don't even try it. This is designed for a 1.25, and this is a rack and pinion style focuser. Now, let me go ahead and try to see if I can move this down here a little bit. Let me make sure I'm still in the camera's view here. Okay, and we are. Now, the focuser here is a pretty standard and simple rack and pinion. Okay, it is adequate for my use. Okay, it does hold my camera, my DSI, my Mi DSi 2 Pro. It holds the LPI, it holds my eyepieces, my Zamil eyepieces. It holds everything just fine. It's not that really greasy. It's actually pretty. It's a decent entry level focuser that Orion put onto this OTA. Now, with that being said, if I was Orion Telescopes and I was selling this optical tube assembly, you know, yeah, to keep the price down moderately so people would buy the optical tube, they're not going to sell this thing for 500 bucks, okay? But if I was if I was Orion Telescopes, I would have went ahead, took this off. I would have threw in a custom-made Crawford style rack and pinion, okay, a dual speed 10-to-1 focuser, and I would charge maybe another 60 bucks. Because I know I would have bought it no problems. I know many thousands of other customers who own these would have bought them no problems. The one gripe, if you go on Orion's website about this optical tube assembly, is the focuser. The focuser, although it's not junk, but it's not the best in the world either. It does work. You just got to learn how to mess with it a little bit, and you can actually achieve pretty good focus with it. Okay, so the focuser is lacking. But hey, for $149 and my pictures will prove it. $149 with the mirror and the coatings and just how fast this focal ratio is, hey, I'm sold. That's okay. I can deal with the focuser. Let's see here. The secondary mirror obstruction. Now, what are we talking about in the secondary mirror obstruction? As everybody knows with Newtonian telescopes, let me see if I can get this in the field of view here. Let me take a look real quick at my camera, guys. Let me see if I can actually get that shot. Okay, we're pretty close to it. Actually, you know what? Hang on. Let me move my camera here a little bit. Okay, I just want to make sure. I'm sorry, guys. I got to use my iPhone until I have enough money. I got to wait till payday to buy a camera, a digital camcorder. So as soon as I do that, I'll go ahead and get a tripod and stuff like that, so I don't have to keep using my iPhone. But we're talking about, let's see here, secondary mirror obstruction. Now, what that means is in a Newtonian reflector design, you're going to have a little bit of image fallout and obstruction from the secondary mirror support. Here's the vanes that hold this mirror together, and if you look right there, you can actually see the secondary mirror in its place. So your secondary mirror obstruction is basically how much of that primary mirror is that secondary mirror obscuring in its image. Well, according to our specifications, your secondary mirror obstruction by diameter is 41%. So the diameter is 114 millimeter, okay? And then that translates into 4.65 inches. So out of a 4.65 inch primary mirror, the secondary mirror's obstruction is 41%. Okay? So, and your secondary mirror's obstruction by area is 17%. So it gets a little technical when you talk about obstruction with the secondary and primary mirrors. Honestly, you don't really notice looking at deep sky. Again, this telescope is designed for deep sky observation and imaging. Okay, this little reflector is not designed, is not designed for planetary or close-ups of the moon. Okay, and the reason being is because of that secondary mirror obstruction by diameter and secondary mirror obstruction by area. If you remember, the diameter is 41% obstruction, so you're really getting a lot of image fallout with that. And when that happens, you're not going to get very good. Images with that. So, if you want to look at the planets with this thing, good luck. I mean, you can do it. I've seen, I was able to make out the cloud bands and a couple moons on Jupiter, but it's not that good. I mean, it's because you're trying to use a telescope that's not going to do that for you. Okay? The mirror coatings and overcoatings are aluminum and silicon dioxide. So it looks like you got a little bit of aluminum overcoat for brightness enhancement, and you got the silicon dioxide, which is going to seal that overcoat onto the mirror, and it's basically going to provide long life. Okay? Pretty standard mirrors by today's standards. Your standard coatings. Mount type optical tube without the mount. Astro imaging capability. Now they claim it's lunar, planetary, and long exposure. Okay. I don't want to beat up Orion telescopes too much, but I'm going to tell you the truth right here. This thing is not designed for planetary imaging at all. Okay. I've taken some shots with the moon. Now the moon's a really close target, so I mean using this for a moon shot is not that bad. You can actually do a very good moon shot with this telescope. Okay. But trying to do Saturn, Mars, Uranus, Neptune, Jupiter, Pluto, good luck. You don't have the power, and it's just too wide a field of view. The focal ratio is a 4.0. You're not going to get a lot of detail on the planets. You might as well stick with a Meade LX90 or a longer, whatever telescope you have that's a longer focal ratio, whether it be a refractor, Schmidt-Cassegrain. Stick with that for planetary. Let's see what else we got here. The tube material is steel. So basically what we're talking about here is the tube is all steel. Okay, let me go ahead and move this guy around a little bit. We're going to take him up like that. Our tube is all steel. Okay, and on the back and the front of the tube are some very high quality plastic retainers, I guess you can call it. It's basically the buttons on the end and the front of the tube. Okay, all the let's see if I can give you guys a shot of the back of the mirror here. There we go. There we go. That should be a good little shot for you guys. Sorry if I'm in the way of the camera, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just trying to make sure I can give you guys a good shot here. Let me check my camera here one more time. I want to make sure we really got a good shot. Yes, we do. Okay. So, this right here is the mirror. Okay. And 1, 2, and 3, you got your 3 collimation screws on the back for the primary mirror, and you got its corresponding lockdown screws or nuts on the back. Now, basically what these enable the mirror to do is once you collimate, okay, and the telescope does come with a collimation eyepiece, you put the eyepiece right in there and you line up your eye. The primary mirror is marked by center, so you can go ahead and use a laser collimator on here if you wish, or you can do it by eye, or you can do it by star, okay. Very easy to collimate, and so here's your collimation knobs, 1, 2, and 3, and here is these are your set screws, or your set knobs, I guess you can call them. These lock it into position 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you don't have to worry about really slipping out of collimation unless you jolt this telescope around a lot. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. The length of the tube is 18.0 inches. Again, it's a very lightweight optical tube assembly. weighing in at 3.7 pounds. I'll say that again. The optical tube weighs 3.7 pounds, ladies and gentlemen, so this is an outstanding tube that will run great on any equatorial mount you have, or ALTAS mount, depending on what you want to do. It's very lightweight. It comes with its own shipping box. You can put this in the truck, you can put this in the Jeep, the car, whatever you may have. Go to your dark sky site, and you don't have to worry about lugging around a 60 or 70 pound telescope. Unfortunately, I have to do that with the LX90 back here. That's okay though, it's worth its weight in gold. So with an 18.0 inch length, it's a very small tube, it's very manageable, and it doesn't weigh a lot, so you're not going to overtask your drives, and it tracks very well on a go-to mount because it doesn't weigh very much anything. And of course they offer a warranty of 1 year. Okay, so pretty much that's the standard specs of the Orion Starblast 4.5 inch imaging OTA. And it, like I said, it's a very nice little reflector. It does the job. It does it very well. And honestly, with a go-to equatorial style mount, you don't really want to go over a reflector bigger than 6 inches, because the longer the tube gets, the heavier it gets, the more shakes and the more bouncy it is at the eyepiece. So, and it overtasks the drives on the EQ mounts. When you have a big heavy tube like that, they're complicated to set up. This little guy is perfect for the bill. I wanted this telescope so it's lightweight. I can easily carry this, a whole assembly, the LXD75 with the counterweight bar and the counterweight tube, everything. I can pick the whole thing up and carry it out in the backyard. Okay, whereas opposed to the Meade LX90, okay, I'm looking at breaking this down. Basically, dew shield has to come off. Got to tip the OTA in its home position, lock it down, take the tripod off, and it takes me like 10 minutes to set this telescope up. Where opposed to the LXD75 with the OTA on top of it, the 4.5 inch reflector, I can pick the whole thing up, out the door, I'm imaging. Okay, so it really is a very good telescope for lightweight, portability. The optics on it are amazing. The only thing it's lacking is a good focuser. I mean, the focuser works. It's not bad. Once you get to learn how to use it, you just got to train on it. I wish Orion would have spent a little bit more time and put a better focuser on this tube. And they, easily could have sold it for $200, $250, and people would have bought this. Okay. The rings I got from Orion. Okay, they do fit the proper diameter of this. I think they're 140. I believe they're 140 or 142 millimeter. Don't quote me on that. I'm just trying to go off my mind. Okay. Now, an interesting thing I have is I have a Canon PowerShot SX130 up on top. Now, this isn't a DSLR. This little guy is not a DSLR camera. Okay. But I am able to do aperture priority, shutter priority, with a timing of about 20 to 25 seconds. Now, again, being a point and shoot, you're not really going to get the panorama views that I've seen online with people using the DSLRs, okay? This is my training aid because probably in about a couple months, I'm planning in probably around October of picking up a Canon Rebel DSLR so I can finally join the DSLR ranks of all you guys and start really doing some imaging. So I'm really learning on my own how to do all this. And but this little Canon this little point and shoot, although it's not a DSLR, it doesn't have the capabilities as far as a DSLR has, long exposure, noise reduction, all that good stuff. I was able to do some I call it panel view. I was able to do some panel view shots tonight, and I will be putting that up with the other pictures in this video on YouTube. And it works pretty good for $100. I mean, I bought this for like $100, $120, and I was able to connect it to the telescope. And I'm just having a ball with that, just messing around with it. So, all in all, it's a good telescope. I'm happy with my purchase. It's easy to collimate. It's easy to hold its collimation. Orion really paid a lot of attention to its customers when they wanted something small, portable, lightweight, and they fit the bill just fine. The Orion Starblast 4.5 inch imaging OTA is a beautiful little optical tube assembly. This is my lazy man telescope. If I don't want to set up the LX90 and I just want some on an equatorial mount, I just want to go out and take some quick pictures of the stars or maybe do some planets. Not with this optical tube, but refractor or something like that. I like the lightweight setup ability. Okay, the LX90, that's something you set up on a camping trip up north or something, so it sits for the weekend and you're ready to rock and roll all night long. This little guy, I can move anywhere I need to. So, all in all, it's a good little telescope. I'm happy with the telescope. It runs great on the Meade LXD75 with the audio star I'm using, and it tracks really accurate, and some of the shots I've taken are amazing. So this basically concludes my little snap from the hip review. We already did on the LX90. Now I've done on the Orion Starblast 4.5 imaging OTA. It's a very nice, well-built OTA, and I think in the future I might get a bigger one, or you know, I'll see what I can do with this thing. I think it's awesome. I was tempted to actually put this up on the LX90, but decided against it. It'd be a little too awkward. It's a great little tube. I'm really having a lot of fun learning how to astro image with it. I'm just having my wife loves looking through it. It's a ball to use. It's a blast to use. It's really fun to use, and it does its job. And basically, that's what I need. So, anyway, about 149 bucks on Orion's website, or www.telescope.com. That's Orion Telescopes and Binoculars. That's their main website. You can find this guy for about $149. It's not a bad deal. And with the purchase of it, you get the Starry Night software, the free edition, and it comes with a box, accessories. It comes with a little collimation cap. It doesn't come with a finder scope. You have to get all this by yourself, but it's about 79 bucks at Orion to get all that set up. So it's a really good telescope, and as evidence, I'll show you the pictures I've taken with it tonight, and we'll go from there. So this is Kokakis 762 by 54R saying clear skies. Unfortunately, I got chased back inside my house because the storm started coming back, but I was able to actually get out there and take some shots before it happened. So clear skies, keep it real, keep watching my my channel, check it out if you have not already, and just keep it up, guys. Keep imaging, keep doing your astrophotography, keep getting people into amateur astronomy. It's a fun hobby, and let's just keep it going. Have a good night. Bye-bye.